ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेष भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8 and Text 27. Mukhena lokarti hara smithena parispurat kundala manditena shonayitena adhara bhimba basa patyarhayantam sunasena subruva. Mukhena lokati harasmitena parispurat kundala manditena shonayitena dharabimba basa patyarhayantam sunasena subruvam. Kundala manditena shonayitena dharabimba basa patyarhayantam sunasena subruva. Mukhena, by a gesture of the face, Loka Artihara, vanquisher of the distress of the devotees. Smithena, by smiling. Parispurat, dazzling. Kundala, earrings. Manditena, decorated with. Shonayitena, acknowledging. Adhara, of his lips. Bimba, reflection. Basa, rays. Patyarhayantam, reciprocating. Sunasena, by his pleasing nose. Subruva, unpleasing eyebrows. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swamy Prabhupada. Translation: He also acknowledged the service of the devotees and vanquished their distress by his beautiful smile. The reflection of his face, decorated with earrings, was so pleasing because it dazzled with the rays from his lips and the beauty of his nose and eyebrows. Please repeat. He also acknowledged the service of the devotees and vanquished their distress by his beautiful smile. The reflection of his face, decorated with earrings, was so pleasing because it dazzled with the rays from his lips, and the beauty of his nose and eyebrows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devotional service to the Lord is very much obliging to him. There are many transcendentalists in different fields of spiritual activities, but devotional service to the Lord is unique. Devotees do not ask anything from the Lord in exchange for their service. Even the most desirable liberation is refused by devotees, although offered by the Lord. Thus the Lord becomes a kind of debtor to the devotees, and he can only try to repay the devotee's service by his ever enchanting smile. The devotees are ever satisfied by the smiling face of the Lord, and they become enlivened. And by seeing the devotee so enlivened, the Lord himself is further satisfied. So there is continuous transcendental competition between the Lord and his devotees by such reciprocation of service and acknowledgement. Dasanstha Bhaktivedanta Parpoto Madhyanathimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. So the glories of pure devotional service was explained in the last verse. And when the devotee renders service, how did the Lord respond? We should not think that we are rendering service to some inert personality. We are serving the Supreme Lord means we are serving the Supreme Conscious Being. So he has emotions, he has feelings. And so when a devotee renders service, automatically Krishna, he becomes obliged. In this world, when we render some service to somebody, he becomes obliged. Long ago, there's an experience. Sometimes you are traveling in a long train. For those days, the facilities were not so improved. Sometimes you feel very thirsty, and not planned for water. The next station is going to be a long journey after 12 hours. Some trains are like that. And then, of course, it depends on the class of the compartment. If you are traveling in a normal compartment, then probably the vendors also won't come so often, so regularly, because they know that there won't be many customers in those lower compartments. So in that scenario, you are very thirsty, and then not able to get a bottle like that, and then imagine somebody comes and offers to you a glass of water. Immediately you become very obliged. You'll say, thank you so much. You'll be surprised that he recognized your thirst, and then you become very obliged. Now, will that happen to the Lord also? When we render some service to him, does Krishna gets obliged? So here it is saying, the verse is saying that yes, he becomes obliged. Shonayitena adharabhimba bhasa. That means he becomes Shonayatena means acknowledging, and then pratyarhayantam, reciprocate. There are two things are there. The first thing is that the Lord acknowledges our service, and then because he is obliged, he also reciprocates. He tries to reciprocate back. He wants to give something to us. So when Krishna wants to give something to us, now the devotees will say, we don't want anything. The devotees are rendering service without any motivation. They don't want anything. They don't want to take anything. So Krishna is obliged, he is grateful. He wants to give something, but devotees are saying, no, thank you, we don't want to. So that's why Prabhupada is saying that in one sense Krishna becomes a debtor. He is not able to repay. Because if you want to repay anything, devotees are saying no. That's called pure devotional service. There is a pure devotional service. The quality of our service matters. If the quality is good, pure, the Krishna becomes more obligated, becomes very obliged. But if our quality of the service is mixed up, quality is not so good, it is mixed up. Mixed up means what? If the quality is diluted by our selfish motivations, these selfish motivations are categorized into three. This selfishness can creep into our services in major three categories. One category is the selfishness can creep into in the form of sattva guna. Simply want to be materially happy, satisfied, peaceful. Doesn't want to take any risk or anxiety for service. Come, baitna, shanti, om, shanti. And then it can creep into in the form of passion, wanting to be prominent and famous, and so many desires. Or it can also creep into the services in the form of laziness, excuses, and various other forms. So, according to the quality, Krishna also reciprocates. He makes it clear in Bhagavad Gita. E yadhamam prapadyante. So, highest quality means highest prapadyante, surrender. If there is a highest surrender, Krishna becomes very obliged. He becomes very grateful. And if the surrender levels are less, Krishna still reciprocates, but then his reciprocation will be proportionate to our surrender. Ye dhamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajameham. As you come to me, I will also come towards you. If you want to maintain a certain distance and little, okay, Krishna also reciprocates like that. But let us say you want to surrender and yes, I want to engage in Krishna's service, Krishna consciousness. And Krishna also, he comes towards us faster. So, what is this surrender? So, surrender means simply to obey what Krishna says. That's all. There should be obedience. Obedience to the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, initially we may not understand these instructions, or nor we don't know how to follow. That's why important that We surrender to a spiritual master. In spiritual life, there cannot be any progress if we don't surrender to a bona fide spiritual master and nicely follow, be very obedient to his instructions. So if somebody becomes very obedient to the spiritual master, Krishna becomes very, very pleased, becomes obligated. And if Krishna becomes obligated, then what happens? How he wants to repay? He wants to repay, but devotees are saying no. And sometimes Krishna offers, you want any liberation? Like when Prahlad Maharaj had direct face-to-face darshan of Lord Narasimha. So Narasimha said, I am Varadharshaba. I am the supreme and I'm the supreme benedictors. That is the position of the Lord. He gives blessings always. In this world, only Krishna, he can give blessings. Krishna and his bona fide acharyas, only they can bless. He says, I am the supreme benedictors. So you ask me whatever you want. He gives that option to Prahlad. And Prahlad is saying, no, I don't want to take it. So now how do you repay? You want to give something, but he is saying, no need, thanks, thank you. And how will you repay? So here Krishna has a method. He says, Mukhena lokarti harasmithena. He simply smiles. Krishna gives a beautiful smile at the devotees. Then by looking at that smile, what happens to the devotees? Arti hara, he will be relieved from all distresses. Particularly the devotees who are in this world, they are always harassed by so many distresses. The material nature, because practicing spiritual life, particularly pure devotional service, purely you want to serve the Supreme Lord, then Prabhupada explains it is like declaring a war on the illusory energy. So many illusions will come into our mind. So many doubts, so many illusions will enter into our mind. So devotees are, they are always facing these challenges. Arti, sometimes the distresses may be there. But by looking at the smile of the Lord, then they become Arti Hara Smithena. So all those distresses are vanquished by his smile. And when the devotees are freed from those distresses, they are happy, saying Krishna happy. Actually, this is called exchange of rasa. You become happy by seeing the person Krishna happy. That's all. This is the philosophy of bhakti. Bhakti means by seeing God happy, we become happy. That's all. This is the only source of happiness for devotees. What is that? Krishna should be happy. He should give a smile. Mukhena smithena. He should broadly smile it. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that we should render our services in such a way that Krishna wants to come and see you. That is our stand. We, of course, in the beginning stages, we have to go and see. But if you can come to the level where Krishna wants to come and see you, that's the perfection of our bhakti. That is called devotion, pure devotional service. So, devotee's source, only source of happiness is Krishna's smile. How do you know whether Krishna is smiling at me when I do something? Now that's where the transparent via media, the spiritual master's smile becomes the guideline. The Acharya is happy and is smiling at you, then we know for sure Krishna is happy. In fact, Krishna is more happy. Directly pleasing Krishna is not easy. Is Supreme Personality of Godhead, completely self-sufficient, is not dependent on anybody. He doesn't require our services. He has so many servants already. There is no need of our service. And then, so is the Supreme Lord. He is not dependent on our service. It's not that when we don't do any services, he is lacking something. No. It is different experience from this material world. Here in the company, let us say the employees strike, announce a strike, they don't serve. The so-called master is finished. The owner is finished. Krishna is not that kind of a owner or master. He is not dependent. So it's not easy to satisfy Krishna. That's why one has to go through Acharya. Prabhupada is satisfied. Actually, Prabhupada gives one interesting example. He says a big man is there, a very big man is there. Say you want to satisfy. Nowadays, the rich man is, these names are changing, you know. Previously, we used to quote some names. Now, rich man list is changing. I think Adhani is one of the. So, let us say there is a Adhani and son is there. His son is there. A little child is there. So, Prabhupada says, let us say you want to satisfy Adhani. Not easy. First of all, you won't get any appointment also. If you are not known to Adhani, then he will ask 100 questions. First of all, his secretary will ask 100. Who is he? Who are you? Why you want to meet? What is the purpose? All those. A lot of formalities you have to go through. Let us say you know Adhani, let us say. Then you can call up and say, I want to see you. And then immediately say, yes, come. See, that thick and thin, that relationship matters. If you want to see any big man, lot of formalities will come if that big man doesn't know you. Similarly, Krishna also sent. If you are very close to him, it's easy. His darshan, his audience, his association, very easy. But let us say you don't have that option. Then a lot of formalities will be there. So to satisfy Adhani directly is not easy. What can you offer which can really make him smile? You say, no, I'll give you 1 crore. You have got thousands of lakhs of crores. He has. What is your one? You say, no, I'll give this thing, that thing. Nothing will satisfy. Because he's already big. He has seen all this. No more. He is excited about all this. So that's why Prabhupada says, let us say you go to a small child. And then you give one chocolate, 10 rupees chocolate. Immediately the child smiles. As soon as the child smiles, the father also, Adhani also smiles. It's an automatic phenomenon. Relationship. Father, he has relationship. So similarly, we should know for sure that if I can make Prabhupada smile, Krishna is already smiling. Krishna is already happy. So this is the simplification of bhakti. We take advantage of the relationship. Krishna is very close to Krishna. Prabhupada is very close to Krishna. And so if I can satisfy Prabhupada, then Krishna is automatically pleased. So here also we see that the Lord is trying to reciprocate by giving a smile, and by seeing the smile, devotees are satisfied. They're also smiling. And by seeing the devotees are smiling, and Krishna becomes more satisfied. He gives even more bigger smile. And by seeing Krishna smiling more, devotees are also becomes more and more happy. So Prabhupada said there is a transcendental competition between Krishna and these devotees. They are trying to make him more happy, and Krishna is trying to make the devotees happy. And there is a competition going on. This is an unending competition. So, in spiritual life, there is competition. Many times in the outside world, we're all fed up with the competition, because anything you want to do, there will be a competitive exam. You want to join any premier institution or you want to get into some job, IAS, IPS, IIT, JEE, there are so many competitive exams. So it's all about competition. So sometimes we come to the temple or we come to spiritual life to free ourselves from competition. But here Prabhupada is saying there is competition. Devotees, they compete to satisfy Krishna. That's why it's called transcendental competition. So Prabhupada encouraged this transcendental competition in book distribution. There used to be Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Radha Damodar party, and there used to be some other parties competing. Who will distribute highest number of books and give pleasure to Prabhupada? This is the competition. They want to tell their scores to Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada should give a biggest smile to me. This is the motivation of the devotees. So always Radha Damodar used to be the number one, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was. So once what happens, Radha Damodar party becomes second, some other party becomes first. Prabhupada, you defeated Radha Damodar? That means Tamal Krishna Maharaj defeated. So he encouraged this competition. But transcendental competition, we have to understand carefully. There is no envy in the transcendental competition. In the material competition, if somebody gets number one rank, all the people who are competing, they become envious. Oh, this man has become number one. I thought he's a useless fellow. He, he is actually not qualified. And he never studies. I never seen him. Always he plays this, he plays that. And suddenly he become number one. And then every day I'm systematically studying. But, I could not get, all those marks. We have our own calculation, basically. Some calculation we have. And we think that actually he is not qualified. But somehow by fluke, he became number one. We think like that, and then we become envious. So transcendental competition means there is no envy. There is only appreciation. This is called transcendental. Appreciation means, wow, he's doing sadhana so nicely. There is an appreciation. So let me do much better than him. He is coming to the temple hall by 4:30, okay, I'll come by 4:25. Not that when he is coming by 4:30, I'll somehow drag him and then make him delayed by 2 minutes. That is envy. So competition means I want to improve. Competition is about you doing nice, something better for Krishna. Envy means to put the other person down. That is envy. So we take inspiration from other Vaishnavas who are doing very nicely. They are doing sadhana, they are nicely studying. Some devotees, they are dancing nicely. So let me also dance nicely. Not that we become envious. And then somebody is distributing books nicely. So let me also distribute book nicely. This should be the Vaishnava attitude. This kind of a competition is encouraged. In spiritual life, everything is healthy. In material life, everything is diseased. Same feeling, competitive feeling is there in the spiritual world, but it is there in its pure form. Purity means there is no such, envy and then all those things. Here, Same competitive feeling is there, but then the spirit is there, but then it is polluted. Polluted by these three modes, and people behave differently. If the pollution is by tamoguna, he becomes very destructive. He will even try to kill him off. Somebody who is number one, more better than me, finish him off. Then I will become number one. This is tamoguna. So like that, these modes always pollute. So if we want to receive the reciprocation, first thing is we should know that Krishna is continuously reciprocating with the jivas. Continuously. That is called rasa. You offer something, immediately Krishna is, he is acknowledging and is reciprocating. And here in one place, Prabhupada mentions, Krishna himself mentions how he becomes very grateful. He says, any person, here Nectar of Devotion says, any person who is conscious of his friend's beneficent activities and never forgets his service is called grateful. Grateful means he will not forget service. In Mahabharata, Krishna says, when I was away from Draupadi, she cried with the words, Hey Govinda, this call for me has put me in her debt, and that indebtedness is gradually increasing my heart. This is the statement of Krishna. It's an evidence that how one can please the Supreme Lord simply by addressing him, Hey Krishna, Hey Govinda. Then Prabhupada, he goes on to say the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, is also simply an address to the Lord and his energy. So to anyone who is constantly engaged in addressing the Lord and his energy, we can imagine how much the Supreme Lord is obliged. It is impossible for the Lord to ever forget such a devotee. It is clearly stated in this verse that anyone who addresses the Lord immediately attracts the attention of the Lord, who is always remains obliged to him. So this is the beauty chanting. When we do chanting, Krishna is actively acknowledging, and he also feels obliged. But that the chanting service, that quality of the service, chanting is also service, but that quality should be high. We should maintain high quality. Don't mix up these modes with the intention that it should please Krishna. When we chant, Krishna becomes obliged, and Krishna will never forget such a devotee. Any questions? Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి, కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి, శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా పాండవులు నిర్మించిన కేదార్నాథ్, ఆధ్యాత్మిక సాధనకు స్ఫూర్తినిచ్చే ఆ నరుడు నారాయణుడు నడయాడిన ప్రదేశం బద్రీనాథ్. ఈ 4 ధామాల దివ్య దర్శనమే మన చార్ధామ్ యాత్ర ప్రతి భారతీయుడి ఆకాంక్ష. రండి, ఈ మహోన్నత యాత్రలో భాగస్వాములమవుదాం.
హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణ వాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి, కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి, శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా